Welcome, friends. This is Under the Arch Sports. I'm Eric, and today we're going to talk about the St. Louis Cardinals and their pretty awesome week. With us to talk about that is Zach, the host of the Sports Unlimited podcast. Zach, talk to us real quick about your show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Eric. So a little bit about my show. We talk about baseball on a national level, the NBA, and of course, I love my Cardinals. So we talk about breaking news, analysis, big trades, big rumors. Please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, Sports Unlimited Podcast. I'd appreciate it.
And while you're doing that, don't forget to subscribe to Under the Arch Sports on YouTube and find us on Facebook and Instagram. Give us a like and a follow. Now, the St. Louis Cardinals coming off a much better week, I'd say. The Cardinals went 4-2 over the past week. They dropped 2 out of 3 to Washington, and then they swept the Reds. And Zach, I think looking at the past week, the improvement starts with pitching.
Yeah. The Cardinals pitching has been tremendously better, albeit like you said, we did lose 2 out of 3 against the Nationals. However, a stat I thought was great was that in the last 6 games, the Cardinals pitchers have had 5 quality starts. Through the first 14 games, we had 1. So it's very encouraging to see the pitching get turned around here. Flaherty is off to a great start this year, being 4-0 with a 3.18 ERA. He's no doubtably our ace. But this, slowish, weird start to the Cardinals season can be turned around first and foremost by our pitching, and it always starts there. So it's really good to see them progress. Recently.
Yeah, and when you look at the pitching and what's led to the turnaround, there's 2 things, and they go hand in hand. First, it's all about walks. The Cardinals were dishing out walks left and right. It was terrible, really, but they've cleaned that up. In the last turn through the rotation, I looked at this right before we started filming. It was Adam Wainwright and Carlos Martinez against Washington. They each gave up 1 walk. Then against the Reds, you had 0 walks, 2 walks, and 0 walks. 2 walks total given up by starting pitching against Cincinnati all weekend. That is outstanding. And what that means, they're throwing strikes. They're able to get deeper into the games, and that was a big issue. Something that I was concerned about as early as 5-6 games into the season is, if you're not going deep into games, you're just gonna burn through the bullpen. And it was a concern. And over the past week, that's gotten a lot better. Kwang Hyun Kim's start was the shortest start over the past week, and that was 5 2/3 innings. If that's the shortest start in a week, that's fine.
Absolutely.
You had outstanding pitching, really. Even the losses. Adam Wainwright was stellar, and then Giovanni Gallegos, he blew it. There's no other way to say it, but Gallegos is proven. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt that just one of those days. To me, he's earned that.
Right.
And then Carlos Martinez, going up against Max Scherzer, Mizzou alum, that's just rough. It was a 1-0 tough luck loss, and the 1 run was just horrendous defense. It was a base hit to left field, and Justin Williams trying to throw it to the relay man, Paul DeYoung. He threw it into the ground, and it rolled as far as it traveled in the air. DeYoung picked it up and just flung it in the general direction of home plate as fast as he could. Andrew Kisner, had a diving save to keep it from going to the backstop. It was just a terrible relay, and that was the only run of the game.
Right.
And honestly, good defense, the runner is out, I think. You're looking back at it. But back to the pitching. It's giving the Cardinals a chance to win. The Cardinals offense, while it's shown some signs, I think it's still limited. It takes pressure off of the offense, and frankly, I think that kind of showed. over the past week with better pitching. The offense didn't press, and Zach, the offense looked better.
Offense looked fantastic. I was actually at 2 out of the 3 games against the Reds this weekend to watch them in person, and it was great to see. I mean, you talk about Tyler O'Neill coming back yesterday, making a big impact in the game, 2 home runs in the game, got his first curtain call on the season. That had to feel good. But the offense hitting their stride, to your point, is really all about, I think, this lineup change, this kind of shuffle that took place. Mm-hmm. Now it's only been 3 games, but Dylan Carlson shifting to the 2-hole has really lengthened this lineup. I mean, you talk about what a difference it makes. Edman at the top has been fantastic, but having Goldschmidt hit second and Arenado third, it just felt really top heavy. You felt like you needed someone else in between to kind of, like I'm saying, lengthen the lineup. And it just, I mean, again, small sample size, but Dylan Carlson, he's batting .636 since being in that 2-hole. Just an unreal start to his season, batting .309 on the year. I said this in one of our videos, I believe, before, is Dylan Carlson, go win Rookie of the Year. He has a good shot to do it.
Yeah, and he's stepped up, moving to that 2 spot, and that was especially important given Yadier Molina leaving the game on Friday, missing Saturday and Sunday. That made it all the more important. To your point, with the Cardinals lineup feeling particularly top heavy, there was no Yadi there, and Yadi's off to his best start offensively, maybe of his career.
Right.
He's back. He's back in there for Monday's game, going against the Phillies. So the assumption is that the foot is good to go. Hopefully that is the case.
Hopefully we need him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think having Carlson in there, I'm very curious to see what happens with Carlson batting second, having that protection, and especially Yadi, as hot as he's been, if he can just, even if he cools off a little bit, if he's still batting 280, 290, something like that,
right,
in that 5th spot, it's not like, okay, you got, one of the guys ahead of him got on. You can't just automatically go around Arenado because Yadi's right there, and he's enough of a threat to make him pay. So
yeah,
it's just one guy protecting the other through the lineup, and it's something the Cardinals really haven't had in, gosh, I'd say 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, those 1 through 5, Edman, Carlson, Goldie, Arenado, Yadi. If that's a pretty good 1 through 5, especially when they're all hitting and they're all off, they're all hot at the same time. I mean, Goldschmidt batting .241 on the season so far, Arenado .253, but still, those are 2 huge power threats. Carlson and Edman set the table. Yadi, even DeYoung behind Yadi, 1 through 6 in my mind can be really solid. I mean, you might see this offense continue to take off as long as we can stay consistent.
Yeah. Now, looking ahead to the coming week, the Cardinals are opening a 4-game series against the Phillies. This will be the last time the Cardinals see the Phillies all season. The last weekend series, and now this 4-gamer, and then they're done with Phillies. And then over the weekend, the Cardinals will be on the road in Pittsburgh. And looking at the standings right now, Cardinals are in second place. They're floating around just above 500. 2 games back of the Brewers, who are off to a nice 13-8 start.
Didn't expect that.
Yeah. What are your, looking at where the Cardinals are in the standings and what we've seen over the past week? What would you say is your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is that, is going back to the offense, right? I mean, the one thing I saw, especially of the series against the Reds, is that we scored first, and I believe it was all 3 games against the Reds. The Cardinals, I believe, are 8-0 when Tommy Edmonds scores a run. So Tommy Edmonds setting the table, uh, and the offense striking early has been a big key. Now, again, we were a little bit inconsistent against the Nationals, but against the Reds, something clicked when Carlson moved hitting second. So that was my biggest takeaway. And the Phillies play us tough, so it'll be interesting to see how many games we can get out of this 4-game series against them. But moving forward, if we can stay consistent like we have been this past weekend, that'll be another takeaway for this coming week. So that'll be huge for us. Consistent offense.
Yeah, and looking back at the past week, I've got a few things. First, with Tyler O'Neill coming back, especially given that he's looked good, 2 home runs Sunday, and Justin Williams' emergence. He started off terribly. He's come around. Given those two with Carlson in center field and Tommy Edman at second base, Matt Carpenter may not have a spot. And I think just about everybody in Cardinal Nation is rejoicing at that. It's a shame, but that's where we are with Matt Carpenter. Secondly, the pitching. Everybody thought that the pitching would be a strength of this team coming into the season, and it wasn't for the first couple of weeks. It had people worried. The past week, the pitching's come around, and it's kind of calmed some nerves, and we're seeing more of what this team can be once the pitching goes how we think it's going to go.
Right. We can be a complete team. I mean, our pitching, it had some question marks in the rotation, going into the season. But if everyone's staying healthy and pitching close to what they expect to be at in terms of ERA and wins-loss record, those things happening, you thought would be a plus for this team, to your point, especially the bullpen. We've got a really good bullpen in my mind. And to start the year, the bullpen was pitching more innings combined than the starters.
Yeah.
That's not a trend that can continue over the long haul of a season. So that changing this past week, along with a little bit more consistency in offense, has been my 2 biggest takeaways.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see how this continues for the Cardinals. Zach, it's been fun. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, that's it for the Cardinals Chronicles, week 3 of the season. Thanks for checking us out. Hope to see you next time.